Good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to Vicious Rants. And of course, I'm your host, your YouTube messiah and often imitated, never duplicated superstar Tim Vicious. And we are talking about Raw this week was in my beloved hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they did not disappoint one bit, the Philly crowd I'm talking about, you know, because like the old saying goes, there's no fans like Philly fans, because we will love you, we will be straight up honest and loyal to you down to a fault. But the second you screw up and fuck up on something, my God, we do not let it go, and we will fucking kill you over it. Whew, man. Now, before we get into the show, big news that occurred from the time of the last recording. One, obviously, with the big brouhaha going on about with Crown Jewel. A lot of people were talking about, senators, actual state senators, were insisting that WWE cancel the show because of in light of the recent news that Saudi Arabia may have killed a journalist. We don't get into politics on this show. That's a rule of thumb. That's always that. We don't get into politics. But we'll say this. Honestly, they need to stay out of that because it's a private matter. Well, I can't say private because it's on the market, but you know what I mean. It's a whole separate, its own personal business, It's got no ties with the government whatsoever, or anything like that. And I know y'all are going to say, oh, well, Tim, Linda's in the cabinet with this. She's not part of the company, though. So that's what I'm talking about. There's nobody actually in the company that's working there, one way or another. That also, I want you to think about this. Think about this, if you will. Let's just say, hypothetically, WrestleMania, and everyone knows WrestleMania, the biggest wrestling show of the year. What if WrestleMania was to be held in whatever, insert name of city here, but a huge, oh my God, horrifying, traumatic, big, shocking thing happened, whether it was a violence, terrorist attack, whatever, you name it, occurred in that city about 3 weeks or so before the show happens. Would everyone insist, well, let's cancel WrestleMania? Because that's pretty much what you're asking to do, You're looking to just try and you can't just pull out of a show like that. There is grave consequences on that. Aside from travel costs, production costs, having to do reimbursements for, and all that. Then you got the show itself, where now that entire card has to get swept up and okay, well, what can we salvage from this? That's what I'm getting at. So, to everyone that keeps saying, that they want to boycott it, that the show should be canceled and they're going to boycott it, by all means, that's your right to. I ain't going to argue on that otherwise. But to those that are going to watch, let them watch, let them have fun. Whether it's a good show or not, let them watch so that way they can make that call themselves. And please stop judging a person based on what they choose to watch. Just because, and I'm switching gears here, but I go on this on a regular, not so regular basis. You'll see guys like the New Japan marks fucking shit all over people like yours truly because, oh, well, just talk about WWE, so I must obviously be a WWE mark. No, I just love wrestling in general. I don't care if it's WWE, New Japan, Combat Zone, Lucha, whatever the fuck. And you'll get the New Japan marks or the certain specific promotion marks, go after the frickin' go and shit all over another one just because, oh well, that's not the one we like. Who the fuck cares? Let them enjoy their shit. That's the same argument that I'm making with this. Let the people that are watching it watch it. Don't worry about them. Should they do the show still? Personally, I do think so. Because, aside from everything that I just said, also, the Middle East does have a big market, is a market for pro wrestling. Now, if you can get WWE in there for now, there's nothing saying a good 2, 3, 5, however many years you want to say from now, that they could have something else like TNA, Ring of Honor, freaking Lucha Underground or something, Let them start out with this, Sometimes you got to take 1 or 2 steps backwards to move forwards. That being said, now, other news. Bound for Glory was this past weekend, and I did not see the show myself, unfortunately. However, from what I've heard, it was good, and the only thing I can say that probably would be a gripe is on how the greatest douche nozzle to ever clog, Austin Aries, wound up once again showing why he's the greatest douche nozzle to ever clog. When Johnny Nitro Morrison Mundo Impact Esquire III hit the Starship Pain on Aries and got the 1-2-3 win, he's now the new TNA World Champ. Immediately after the 3 count, Aries got up, no-sold the move, got to the turnbuckle, flipped off Don Callis, yelled fuck you to him, and started yelling fuck you to the rest of the people. And the whole time while Johnny's getting the title and being awarded it, he's looking like, what the hell's going on? Now, whether this is a work or a shoot, I don't know. I ain't got that kind of insight, nor would I want it. I prefer to actually enjoy the show as a fan, not one of those, quote-unquote reporters like some fuck-knuckles that like to give 12-star matches in Tokyo Dome. Fuck you, Meltzer. There you go. That was my little subliminal one. I couldn't get it out right, so. But yeah, honestly, I think it was a shoot, and I think it's going to get... I think it was a shoot, and I think they're going to wind up making it into a work. So, yeah. Now, we'll start off... Now, let's get into Raw, Philadelphia, my beloved hometown. Let's get this shit going. It starts off with Strowman, McIntyre, Ziggler all come out, and they're hyping up that McIntyre and Rollins, as well as Ambrose and Ziggler, have qualifying matches for the World Cup to determine the best in the world, even though we all know the best in the world is Chris Jericho. Thought I was gonna say someone else, huh? Anyways. Them three, they're hyping up their matches. Ziggler's hyping up on how the Shield is, on the verge of collapsing because, they showed that the Shield is broken because Ambrose and all that. Same with McIntyre, and then Braun, when he's talking about on how, on how they're gonna break them up, and then they're gonna have Rollins and Ambrose watch as he destroys Roman and becomes the Universal Champion. And noticed one little thing, and it clicked in my head. But you ever notice, like the big guys, like the big ones, like don't want to say giants, but basically the ones that have to go over the top rope, they tend to bob and weave back and forth like this when they get really hyped and start getting really loud and worked up on their promos. Because Braun started doing that, and then it clicked in my head. Wait, Big Show's done that? Corbin's infamous for that. Kane's done it. And it just started thinking in my head, like, you know, like, some of these big guys do that. But anyways, next thing you know, out come Roman and Rollins. They go and say that, you know, they make jokes. Oh, it's only 2/3. Where's your other one, huh? Guess he got tired of you boys and left? Nah, you see, Ambrose, he's on his own time. He runs on his own time. He'll be here when he gets here. But we're just as strong as ever. We're here and we're ready to fight. And Seth is saying, so Drew, how about you and me? We have our match right now. And before that part, Roman was obviously hyping up on his match with Strowman and on how he's going to beat him and Lesnar, which also, sidebar, smart idea to not have Paul Heyman there tonight because honestly, you can't. Paul Heyman is a fucking saint in Philadelphia. The man made an independent promotion a national phenomenon that to this day you have fans chant for. So, yeah. Smart idea not to have Paul there to hype up their match. But, either way, now we get into McIntyre Rollins. That nice start. Drew wound up really starting to get control of the match right before it went to break. And on how he did was really interesting, and I dug the hell out of it because, again, big fan of different. Just want to see what's different. Throw all the different shit you can up against the wall and see what sticks. You know, McIntyre, he's got Seth outside the ring. He lifts up the apron, talks about, you know, hypes up on how he's going to slam Seth into the ring, or not into the ring post, but into the side of the ring. And just as he's about to, Seth stops it. Ziggler comes down, distracts Seth. While he's doing that, McIntyre crawls under the ring. And then looks like that little creepy hand in Zelda, in the Legend of Zelda game that asks for toilet paper. Grabs Seth and wham! Slams his shoulder right into the side of the ring. And then they cut the break. They come back. You see Drew working on it, and you see Seth nursing that shoulder for the entire match. Not to where it's like to the point to where it's dead, but it's like, man, that fucking hurt. Shit. You know, like that. And yeah, it's a decent match, you know. Really liked it. Had a nice little bit of back and forth with them. You know, and some people are shitting over the idea that these two have wrestled so many times. But you know what? I guarantee that if they were doing a match with Seth Rollins and Kenny Omega, you know, for 3 weeks straight every Monday, people would love it. People would go and say, oh! But yeah. Heaven forbid they do their shit their way. But yeah, match came to an end just as Seth looks like he's starting to pick up some momentum and he's going to get ready to seize the win. Dolph winds up pulling him out of the ring. And just as Dolph's about to go and hit a shot on him, Ambrose comes out of nowhere. Boom! Hits him. There's a big brouhaha outside. Everyone's involved. And Seth winds up getting in just as the ref's doing the count out. And Drew doesn't. So Seth wins via a count out. Next up, now before we get to the next match, there was a little bit of animosity built up because, you know, you see all three sitting in the back talking about on how, you know, the band's all right, we're all good. And then Seth said, man, I knew you'd get here, you just run on lunatic time. You know, you do it your way. Dean didn't necessarily take heart to that, didn't take that to heart, and was straight up pissed. Seth was like, well, it's just saying, well, what? And was pissed over it, so yeah. Now, next matchup, we got women's tag action. Amber Moon and Nia Jax going against Dana Brooke and the newly returned Tamina, which, yeah, that happened. Now, they did also hype up that for the women's pay-per-view Evolution, they're gonna wind up having a battle royal where the winner gets a #1 contender shot at their title. They were saying that it's gonna have Asuka, Mandy Rose, Tori Wilson, which, whew, man, I don't know if any of y'all have seen Tori recently, but for a woman in her 40s, she looks better than most women in their 20s. Whew. Good God, I'm going to need to double on my heart medication for that. But yeah, as far as what this match goes, it was pretty much, it was really short-lived. Tamina, she played the power game with Amber and then tagged in Nia. Them two had a nice small little brawl, you know, and that's pretty much what it was. Match wound up coming to an end when Tamina got pushed into the corner. Dana tagged herself in, started throwing a few quick shots at Nia. Nia pushed her back and then backed in the corner. Next thing you know, Amber tagged herself in, hit Dana with Total Eclipse. Boom, 1, 2, 3. That was it. And then we get a little brouhaha again after this match where Tamina and Amber go and toss Nia over the top rope. And then them two argue on trying to get each other over the top rope. And then Dana knocks them both over. So yeah, that's that. Next matchup we get the Dean Ambrose Dolph Ziggler match. Dolph starts off the match having Ambrose grounded at the start. Really like the back and forth between these two guys. Really like the matches that they were working back when they first started the brand extension with SmackDown on SmackDown, I should say. I'm sorry. Wrong choice of words. Ugh, fuck. McIntyre wound up making an appearance near the end, just as he did. Seth did also. Seth went to stop him. Next thing you know, Ambrose threw himself down on both of them. Next thing you know, Seth gets up. He goes to help Dean get up. Dean, not knowing who's grabbing him, just throws him, shoves him down, and then gets back in. Next thing you know, Dolph, boom, hits him with a super kick. 1, 2, 3. That is it. So Dolph Ziggler wins, and he's now in the World Cup, which, honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure you can really call it the World Cup, because look at how many representatives you have for America. You have John Cena, Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, and now Seth Rollins, and now Dolph Ziggler. I mean, honestly, the only way you could really make this up with the SmackDown guys, you get Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is supposed to be in a qualifying match against Nakamura. Have Rey or Nakamura is going to be the one saving grace on it. And other than that, get Almas or Rusev. That would be the best way to do it, because then you got other countries involved. So yeah. But yeah, after the match with Ambrose and Ziggler, Seth starts arguing with Dean. Them two, they start looking like they're getting hot. Them two are squaring each other up. Next thing you know, Roman comes out, tries to play peacekeeper. Corbin comes out, whoa, I'm not going to have the Shield implode on my watch tonight. So what we're going to do instead is, you guys are going to get a chance to rectify this by having a 6-man tag match from last week, a rematch from last week. You three against Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. Good luck, guys. So we'll get to that match later on. Next up, we got Finn Balor versus Jinder. And this honestly was really just like kind of like a piss break match. It was more so just to hype up the mixed match challenge. So there's a reason behind it. I don't like the reason, but there's a reason. So there's that. Match came to an end. Obviously, Finn got the win doing the coup de grace just as he's ref raises his hand, music plays, and he's like, yay! Next thing you know, Bobby Lashley's music comes out, and of course with Lio Rush, been hyping up this kid for a long time. This kid is gonna go places, you know. He can move, he can work. Yeah, I can definitely see this kid going places. Now, anyways, Leo, he's hyping up Lashley, talking about, you know, having Lashley show off his physique, like, yeah, all that jazz. And never really seen Bobby doing that kind of stuff before, and not quite sure on how to take that or process it. Like, okay, that just happened, I guess. So yeah. Anyways, after that we get Lashley against Tyler Breeze, and like I said, he was doing that, and even at the beginning of the match, that was the highlight of that match, really. Lashley going around over on all four corners, doing like bodybuilder poses, like arms up like this, flexing his chest, shit like that. And it's just, okay. It's different, but not quite sure on how to process it. You know, I'm still trying to. But match came to an end, of course, since he was going against Tyler Breeze. Match came to an end, he hit the AK on him, 1, 2, 3, that was it, and yeah. So next match we got now, it's the Authors of Pain doing a handicap match against Kurt Angle. Now, the reason this came to be is backstage, Kurt was talking to Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, and Kurt was talking about on how he's still on vacation, and the dude looks like he like he just came back from Margaritaville, you know? And looks like he just came back from a Jimmy Buffett concert. So, next thing you know, Corbin sees him, he says, well, since you haven't had a singles match since you've come back yet, let's see if we can help get you in shape some. You're going to have a match tonight. It's going to be a handicap match. Kurt, well, I don't have any of my gear. Well, that's your problem. Your opponents are Authors of Pain. So we see the Conquistador out again, going against the Authors of Pain, and this is just as you would expect. This was what it was. This match was meant for what it was. So can't even argue, get mad, or none of that over it, because this match was intentionally built to be a fucking squash. And not even a piss break, but a fucking squash. They come out, decimate the Conquistador, get the 1, 2, 3. Next thing you know, Matt Drake, he insists, rip off the mask. They do. It looks like a fucking Johnny Ace from like 30 years ago. Minus the really bad blonde hair and a cheesy porn star stash. And Corbin, who was up at the ramp watching all the time, is freaking out like, what? Where is he? Where is he? And then Kurt comes out of nowhere, boom, hits him with an angle slam on the ramp, and then leaves. So, more than likely, we're going to wind up getting a match between Corbin and Angle leading for possible control of Raw again. So yeah, next up we got women's action. Ruby Riott going against Natayla, and before the match starts, Natayla goes and says, Ruby, you think I'm just going to come down there with you and your two girls? I brought friends. And then out comes Bayley, and out comes the returning Sasha Banks. And honestly, you know, I like Sasha, I do, but I also give her shit just like everyone else. But they pan the camera to see the kids freaking out, seeing her come out. I can't argue on that because honestly, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's what it is with WWE. You know, put butts in seats and make the kids smile. So yeah. So they come out, and now as far as the match went, this was a nice actual wrestling match. This I would dare I say was probably the best wrestling match I've seen with the women for a good bit. And I'm not shitting on anyone saying, oh well, this one sucked or that one sucked. I'm just saying this is probably the best one I've seen in general in a while. But match wound up coming to an end. It was a relatively short match, but it was decent for what it was, you know. Match came to an end. Talia had the sharpshooter locked in on Ruby. Just as it looked like she was about to tap, Sarah Logan comes in, boom, chop blocks the knee. Next you know, Sarah and Liv start working on her. Sasha and Bayley come in, they clear house, and yeah, so that's it. So they clean house, they get rid of them, and that's it. Next up now, we got the main event of the night. Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre going up against The Shield. And this right here, you know, now the build up and the hype up on the idea of on Dean splitting, very much so like the first time around when the Shield was first formed. Because, you know, lest we forget when SmackDown was taped on Tuesday and aired on Fridays. Or not Fridays, on Thursdays, I mean. It would be, or was it Fridays? I don't remember. Fuck. Anyways, you know, they had them arguing with each other for a while, making Dean look like he was going to be the one to make them break, and even decked Roman, but never came of it. And it looks very much so like they're doing the same thing again. This time, though, instead of Roman, his hostility is going towards Seth. Now, also on Strowman's camp, though, yeah, he specifically targeted Dolph, saying, "You better do your work tonight, or you're gonna get these hands." Hinting that Ziggler is the weak link, like I said last week. So he forces Dolph to go and start the match. They do, and decent match. Roman was surprisingly the team punching bag for the Shield, which honestly I was not expecting. I was figuring it was going to either be Seth like normal or have Ambrose be it to build up the idea that they're going to break more. But did like that at one point during the match, Seth and Dean were arguing because Seth got pushed into Ambrose and Ambrose got pushed into Seth, and they thought that they did it to each other. You know, I said this before, back when the Shield first broke up. Ambrose and Rollins are like, basically could work like The Rock and Austin. It could just get put in at any point in time. Like that. You know? Just be like, God damn, we need a feud, pal. Fuck it. Well, let's go and put Rollins and Ambrose together. You two, go out there. Make shit happen. You know? And they fucking do. They can make it work. You know, like I said, they could be like The Rock and Austin, man. Bring it up on and off, on and off, on and off, whenever. You know? Match wound up coming to an end, though. Dean wound up getting a hot tag. Started cleaning house. They had the argument that I just mentioned earlier. And then when the big brouhaha occurred, as does always with six-man matches, eventually clean house. Match comes to an end. Ziggler, he goes and hits a zigzag on Ambrose, then tries to hit one on Roman. Roman bounces him off. they go, next you know, Roman, boom, hits him with a spear. Seth and Dean get up, hoist him up, without missing a beat. Right after the spear, them two, boom, come in, hoist him up, and then triple powerbomb Dolph. 1, 2, 3, that's it. And thing did notice with Ambrose, though, at the beginning of the show when he was there with Seth's match, he kept going, trying to crack his neck like that, and he was doing that in his match also against Dolph. Hopefully it's just him trying to pop something, you know, like he's got a little calcium deposit or something. But I hope it's just something like that and not a serious neck problem. But after that, you know, Roman put his hand on Seth and then went over and actually hugged Dean right afterwards, and the camera shot all that. So hopefully, you know, people are going to stop with the whole, oh, the Shield are going to break up, they're going to break up, they're going to break up. Dude, no. No. You see, you don't need them to break up now. We already did the breakup, so what we can do from here is simple. If and when we need to have them start going solo, just, you know, have them do their own individual matches as they are. And then that's it. Now, after the match, Strowman, who was knocked out outside, got in, grabbed Dolph, warned him, I told you! Now you're gonna get these hands! Hoists him up, hits him with a power slam. Next thing you know, he turns around, McIntyre, boom! Hits him with a claymore, and then just walks out. So, now shit's getting interesting. So now we're gonna see where the build-up comes between McIntyre and Strowman, which normally I'm not a big fan of seeing two big guys fight, but this one I really want to fucking see. And yeah, so yeah, that's it for this week's show, folks. So like all normal, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, go back, watch some of the other episodes. Make sure y'all look for me on my Twitter at TimVicious. Do also have another account if I ever get ghosted or put in Twitter jail, Tim_Vicious. Also on that Facebook gimmick, Tim Ash, if you're going to look for me for my Facebook gimmick. If you're going to look, or, yeah, damn it. If you're going to find me on my Facebook gimmick, let me know you found me on there from here down below. Or on my Twitter at TimVicious, so I don't think you got your creep John going. Also, folks, do not forget to follow all of these cool-ass cats right here on the Twitter. Axel Mulligan, Kenny Killer, my good brother, I am Danny Sunday, DSB_IV, Cranky Grandpa, Dazzy MWP. Also, big thanks to my executive producer, Ollie Ben, who did provide the music for this week's show. It's on iTunes, Spotify, and such. Make sure y'all check it out. Details are down below. Also, if you want one of these Ollie Rewind shirts, make sure y'all hit me up, and I'll make sure to talk to Ollie for you. Show the man some love and support. And folks, like I always tell y'all, you love me great, you hate me. Fuck you.